believe that is the number one enemy of everyone, is not understanding what is actually going on in the world. It's only when you start to understand that you can make effective decisions and effective plans. Now, the question is, who is promoting ignorance? Well, those organisations that try to keep things secret, and those organisations which distort true information to make it false or misrepresentative. In this latter category, it is bad media. It really is my opinion that the media in general are so bad, we have to question whether the world wouldn't be better off without them altogether. They're so distortive to how the world actually is, that the result is we see wars and we see corrupt governments continue on. One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough. If they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly, with open eyes, go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
Julian Assange, thank you very much.
Prison, under house arrest, and almost 5 years here in this embassy without sunlight. My children grew up without them. That is not something that I can forgive. It is not something that I can forget. It's something that I hope will be more than just about me. Because the reality is, detention and extradition without charge has become a feature of the European Union.
Woman, when you walk my way with your pepper spray, all I can do is watch your hips sway. So come on now, police woman in your blue uniform, let me turn you on. Arrest me, arrest me, arrest me. Police woman, don't you know that I will turn you on with your own baton? I will turn you on with your handcuffs on. Come on, police woman in your blue uniform, let me turn you on. All I can do is watch your hips sway when you walk my way. Police woman,
please talk. Can someone talk to me? Can someone actually just tell me where the US Embassy staff are? No, they're not answering. So the British High Commission are not answering the door to 2 British citizens wanting to ask questions. Pretty shoddy. And it's raining now. 3rd venue today.
And the Swedish episode was just a bogus red herring. The US Constitution protects publishers and journalists. This crime was just to have broken the silence. It provided, shown that we're complicit by failing to speak out against illegal wars and the attacks on this journalist who's actually provided the real truth and the deceit of Western governments. There's no investigative journalism in our lifetime who's equal the importance in terms of the information he has provided through WikiLeaks. He's called rapacious power to account. He's shown that our governments are supporting 70% of the military, including Saudi Arabia, which has an appalling record in terms of human rights and the treatment of women, but also is attacking on behalf of the United States Yemen, and we know that millions of people are at threat now in Yemen of starvation because they're closing the last port there, which is providing the humanitarian aid. At the same time, the drone execution that we don't really hear of innocent people all through the Middle East and any part of the world. Malcolm Turnbull can remain silent, or he can seize this opportunity and use his government's diplomatic influence to defend the life of an Australian citizen, a really top Australian citizen whose courageous public service is recognised by countless people across the world. He can bring Julian Assange home, and that's what we ask him to do right now.
Thank you. Right, we're gonna take it away now. Bye-bye, Beehive, until the next time. This will be where we come for emergency action. There's been a few people walking past today, taking an interest, which is great. It's just what we want. Some people are like, who's Julian? That astounds me, really, but anyway. Some people are like, we're with her. And I think those people really need to do some more investigation. But anyway, here we are. Free speech, freedom of press. Not 1984 if we can help it.
my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit delete. The masters of the masses, they want this shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people up the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeing the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezing red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. And outside my window a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets is what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset. They under the rape sentence, but the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. MLK to Gandhi, take aim and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life, make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. Stories axed by the editor, you kill the messenger. Pay to play on the regular, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. When the vote count is irregular, you kill the messenger. You caught spying on a senator, you kill the messenger. Removing voters from the register, you kill the messenger. Need a solace, any questioners, you kill the messenger. In my dreams, I walk free in the city streets. 2,500 days plus 50 weeks, doing hard time for these WikiLeaks, trying to bring the truth out. Man, it only gets you heat, and then they gag you. You don't get to speak, and when you get the leak, they try to hit the leak. The masters of the masses, they want this shit discreet. That's why my middle finger's up to these sick elites. Playing on the regular, you kill the messenger. Free speech, it's the freedom of press. Take your deepest, darkest secrets, never leave them unsaid. If I'm a thief, then I'm a thief for the people you dread. The people want the red, white and blue, you keep them in bed. Seeking the sheep, keep them asleep, deceiving the weak. Keep seeking the leaks till you cease, and I see your defeat. Until I'm deceased underneath a freezer red sheet. Become a dead man, then I hit the switch and release. When Goldman Sachs is your creditor, you kill the messenger. outside my window, a figure quickly creeps. They dark as night like some motherfucking chimney sweeps. Whiskey what my Mickey keeps, dying in my kidneys weak. Silence of my risky tweets, what the grand jury seeks. I'm wanting peace, like 7 years in Tibet. Now rest in peace, like 7 years under threat. Cause I've released 7 vaults, they upset, they ended the rape sentence. But the US still insists to rest. I guess it's a sin to take the truth and disseminate. And okay to Gandhi, take him and eliminate. And I don't say I'm great, just wanna say what's fake. But if they kill me, a million others will take my place. The CIA's post like a knife the sharpest. All hypocrisy, lies, and heartless. They want to stop me, my life make my heart quit. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. Cause democracy dies in the darkness. You kill the messenger. You kill the messenger. Democracy dies in the darkness. Darkness.
Feeling cold now, but got the heater on. Feeling sold out, even though I'm keeping strong. But can I hold out when every bit of freedom's gone? They want me rolled out, never to sing freedom song. I wanna see the sky, I wanna feel the rain. But gotta keep away from windows, that's some window pane. It's just a shame, couldn't have planned out all our dreams. Now I scream, cause there's a man in the machine. But the train is off the tracks, and damn it's losing steam. I wanna call Christine, I haven't seen since 013. I'm missing life like 3 strikes each night. Seems like 3 nights ain't right. Can't fight, space light, hate life. Wanting to be snake-like, shutting off this gray life. In the dark can't make light, but where I'm headed now is brake lights. Where I'm headed now they break lights. Counting days like brake lights, feeling weight like brake lights. Had a great life, brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Out of place like brake lights, in my face like brake lights. Counting days like brake lights, brake lights, brake lights. Sit here asking, what have I done? If these strings were cut, I'd see my son. And if I could just fly from this place, then I'd hold you in my love embrace. And if I could just speak to you now, I'd renew my vow and be in the now. Is this me in denial? Wanna remove stress from your brow and pay you back some way, somehow. But it's painted black, can see the way back now. But how's the house and how's your mom? I doubt the way the media portrays me makes you hate me. But to think you see that daily makes me crazy, that just ain't me.
This is without a doubt going to be this generation's free Mandela movement. Every single generation must fight again the same battles that previous generations have fought.
Brake lights, counting days like brake lights, 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 brake lights.
Hi everybody, hopefully you can hear me all right. I'm so impressed to see so many people already in the stream chat. Let's just check that you guys can hear me and that you can see me. And once I get confirmation of that from you, I'll go ahead and do the intro. Hey, I'm just saying hi to everyone in chat. Oh, cool. Hi, Laurie. Yay, hi, Lance. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. Wow, it's so cool. It's fun seeing all you guys saying hi. My name is Suzie Dawson. I am a journalist and an activist, and I am the president of the Internet Party of New Zealand. Thank you all for being here. It's remarkable to me that we can pull together such a sizable audience in such a really short amount of time. I think I only first mentioned that we'd do the stream 2 days ago. Thank you guys so much. You're saying so many lovely things to me, and now I'm getting a little bit embarrassed, but thank you for being here, and I'm glad that you can see me and that you can hear me. Okay, so hopefully you know a little bit about this movement already. We are a group of journalists and activists and whistleblowers and amazing people from all around the world who have come together in support and united in solidarity with Julian Assange, Editor-in-Chief of WikiLeaks. So this movement started accidentally when Julian's communication with his friends, family, loved ones, and with the public at large was cut off at the end of March of this year. Myself, Elizabeth Leah-Voss, the editor-in-chief of Disobedient Media, the tech entrepreneur Kim.com, Ray McGovern, John Kiriakou, CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou, and CIA veteran Ray McGovern, and a number of other amazing people did an impromptu 10-hour #Reconnect Julian vigil stream, which was a massive success. And Ray suggested that we put together a periodic vigil, which we then did for the next 3 months. We started the #UnityForJ online vigils. And then as of this last month, that has spiraled into the last 6 weeks now, it's spiraled into this massive online organizing effort to build a real grassroots movement to support. Someone saying in chat, just let him go. Exactly, to just let Julian go, so that he can realize his asylum, which has been granted. Fishberry saying we need proof of life from Julian. No, we do not need proof of life from Julian, because we talk with his mother, his legal team who are with him in the embassy. He has lawyers with him on a daily basis. We're in contact with those people. And if there was something wrong with Julian, other than what they're telling us is wrong, he has serious medical conditions, etc. If there was some other issue, they would let us know. Christine Assange would let us know. You can follow her on Twitter. She's at Assange Mrs. ASSANGEMRS, and her account has been verified by WikiLeaks. So that is her, and she is every day begging for people to rise up for Julian and to take a stand for Julian. Fishberry is saying that there's hearsay. Okay, well, let's just get a couple of things straight. Let's just game theory this for a minute, okay? You can take action to free Julian, and maybe we will be able to free Julian. Or you can sit around on YouTube questioning, oh, maybe he's this, maybe he's that, maybe, and then Julian definitely won't be freed. So personally, rather than sit around and naysay on YouTube, I'm actually going to do something to free him. This is the whole point of this movement. The point of this movement is to take action in support of Julian Assange, and that's precisely what we've been doing, and I'm really, really proud of everybody who has been pulling together and has built this incredible movement and all of the amazing initiatives that we're about to go through, some of them very shortly. Fishberry is saying Julian needs to come to the window. Julian, if you've read his medical reports, they discuss the fact that he has had police throwing stones at his window in the middle of the night to stop him from being able to sleep. He has had people with power drills on the other side of the walls and ceiling in his apartment, trying to prevent him from being able to get any sleep or any rest. He has had people, he had a guy in black cat burglar suit, complete with suction cups, caught climbing up the walls of the embassy trying to break in. He has had undercover police carrying submachine guns parked underneath his window. So telling him that he needs to come to the window or he needs to do A, B, C, D, E, I'm sorry, he doesn't need to do a damn thing except survive long enough for us to get him the hell out of there. So I don't buy into this Julian must this, Julian must that. No, this movement is about what we must do collectively, and we must build a mass movement to free him. We are not going to sit here and pick to pieces, what he should do, according to whatever random anonymous person on the internet says so. Moving along. So over the last month, we have passed off the online vigil events, the monthly vigil events, which have grown to more than 70 major supporters, public figures who've come on board for them. We passed that on to an incredible news outlet, a publishing outlet called Consortium News. They're at consortiumnews.com. They were founded by the amazing investigative journalist Robert Parry, who was it was a major figure through the Iran-Contra scandal in the 80s. He was absolutely amazing journalist. His son, Nat, and his extended family and some other extremely accomplished and talented journalists banded together in the wake of Robert Parry's passing to continue on that amazing legacy of journalism. Someone saying Consortium News is their favorite news site. I agree. Consortium News is one of the most credible, esteemed, independent investigative journalism sites that exists. And it is incredible honor that they wanted to be a part of this movement. And so this month we handed the organizing of the online vigils over to the editor-in-chief of Consortium News, Joe Lauria. And we had some more new faces join us as well. And we rolled out this new initiative, which is, I call it daisy chain interviewing. So daisy chain interviewing is where, for example, I introduced Joe, and then Joe interviewed Margaret Kimberley, and Margaret Kimberley interviewed the next person, and so on and so forth. So for the first time, we got to see every guest as an interviewer and an interviewee, and they just passed this baton from hour to hour. The feedback after that vigil was amazing. I think we had something like 77,000 live viewers, which is really good considering it was just a shorter vigil. I think we did about 12 hours, whereas the previous month we'd done 50 something. So the feedback I got was that it was really amazing. The format was really fresh. People really, really enjoyed it. I saw actually nothing but good feedback about it. So we will be continuing that format with Joe Lauria and Consortium News leading those vigils going forward. We had one out of the box last-minute opportunity that arose during the vigils, and that was William Binney was willing to come on, but specifically requested that he be interviewed by me or by Joe. And I put my hand up and said, hell yes, I would love to interview William Binney. I've followed his work for years and years and years. And so I was able to do an hour-long session with Binney where we discussed findings from the Snowden files. And it was one of the most remarkable, actually, interviews that I've ever done in terms of the content. It was amazing for me to sit here and show Binney these Snowden documents, discuss the implications, and then have Binney explain his real-world experience of exactly the points that we were discussing in the document. So for me, it was like coupling the theory that we'd studied with the practical of Binney actually having lived it and having seen it. And some really phenomenal content came out of that interview. So if you get a chance, go to Unity4J account on YouTube and look up that Binney interview. Someone saying that they missed me. Well, I'm actually really happy to be getting away from the online vigils because I as fun as they are and as awesome as they are, I actually don't like being on camera. I think this is something that people don't understand. I had a funny situation the other day actually where I was actually laying in bed and I was thinking, how do I engineer like this so that I don't have to be on camera? I don't have to be on stream anymore. I've always preferred being in the background. I actually, for years, I resisted ever being on stream or talking publicly or anything like that. Yeah, and then it's amusing because then I had some like troll the next day telling me I'm a narcissist and I love the limelight. It couldn't be further from the truth. Like, if I could just go back to my like hardcore journalism where I just do nothing but read and write for 4 months at a time, I'd be perfectly happy with that. That said, I'm very grateful that I've got to do things like interview Binney and interview Ellsberg and interview Chris Hedges. These are incredibly memorable events and they're blessings. I'm really lucky that I've got to do them. But that said, the less time that I can actually spend on stream, the better. But I feel an obligation to the movement to keep people up to date with what is going on. Someone's saying have a bottle of wine. I actually don't drink. I'm really boring as well. I just sit there and drink water pretty much. Thank you everybody for the super kind compliments that are coming my way right now. I feel an obligation to let people know what's going on with the movement, to package the information in a way that's accessible to people. And so that's what I'm really wanting to do tonight, is continue on with that theme of showing you guys like what we've been doing, telling you what we're going to do with next steps. So that's the online vigils taken care of. So now I'm going to screen share and I'm going to show you some stuff. So our next big initiative that we've rolled out in September this month, hopefully you would have seen it online, is that we have fulfilled our promise that we made to Christine Assange, to Julian's mum, which was that we would take this movement from online to the ground, to ground actions around the world. And so we came up with this concept called Unity for J Day. And you can see here, our first one was on September the 2nd. And it was worldwide actions for Julian Assange. And so rather than just like, because a lot of people, they think by default, oh, we should be at the embassies, or we should be at, the houses of government. Oh my God, hi Blake. I just saw Blake there. Hi. Rather than just, I actually don't agree that we should just be at embassies or we should be at government buildings. There's a couple of reasons for that. So first of all is that at the embassies, there's really not that many people. And the people that are at the embassies are not necessarily our target audience. Now, I'll just say that does not include, I'm not talking about London. Like, absolutely, we should be at the Ecuadorian embassy. That's where Julian is. It's important for us to show our support directly to him. But in terms of like random embassies in countries all around the world, I actually don't think they're very high impact actions, because the government doesn't really give a toss if we're at the embassies. And also, someone's asking when the next Unity for J Day is. I'm getting to that. I'm getting there, I promise. But first, I want to have my little spiel about like what types of actions are taken. So when, like, I know this from New Zealand, from experience in New Zealand, when we protest at the embassies, what happens is we're putting ourselves under the jurisdiction of the, I guess in the United States, it's the Secret Service. In New Zealand, it's the Diplomatic Protection Squad. So, like, as soon as you plan embassy actions or you doing those actions at government buildings like that, you're automatically under the jurisdiction of like specialized police and intelligence services. Whereas if you do what somebody else did on Unity for J Day and you just take a banner and go stand on an overpass, you're getting a message out to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, and you're not under the jurisdiction of the Secret Service or the Diplomatic Protection Squad. So I personally feel that what we should be trying to do is decentralized action. So not putting ourselves all in one little surveillance pen at some federal building, but decentralized, like in as many locations as possible, like scattered across cities and countries and scattered across the world. And that we should go after really high visibility locations. So like where you can get your message across to the maximum amount of people as possible. And the people that we're targeting, actually, we don't want to target some like diplomat going in and out of the embassy. We want to target the general public. We want to get our messages to the millions of people all around us who may not hear them because they're just subjected to mainstream media crap all of the time. So I'll just show you a couple of the actions that took place on September 2nd, which are really great examples, actually, of what I'm talking about. So you can see here this like really cool recap graphic that we made, that our creative team made. So this is examples of different countries. And so here we have the Ecuadorian embassy. I'm not sure how well you can see this. I'll find a bigger image for you. But we had somebody, an amazing supporter of our movement, go to the embassy and create this free Julian candle like arrangement, which is absolutely gorgeous. So yes, we did have that embassy presence in London, which is totally appropriate. But then we had people just go and chalk all around America. So we have these chalkings in multiple cities, and just hash unity for J. Hash unity for J is enough, because if you put hash unity for J, people go, oh, what is that? And they type it into their phone, and they see like, God knows how many, I think we have like close to 100,000 tweets on that hashtag over the course of the last 5 months. So if you give them nothing but that hashtag, they're going to see videos, they're going to see interviews, they're going to see high profile supporters, they're going to see graphics, they're going to see graphics of actions, they're going to be able to access more content and more messages than you could ever explain to them just by giving them that simple, what is it, 6 letters and a number and a hashtag. Just get that hashtag into as many places as you can, and it's as good as giving them an encyclopedia of information about Julian and WikiLeaks and all of the support for Julian and WikiLeaks. So we had here, let's see, I think I pulled up a bigger image of it somewhere. Where is it? This is what was done in New Zealand. So in New Zealand, Alex, amazing activist, and Greg, another incredibly amazing activist, actually did a little tour. They, rather than just picking one embassy, they went around all of the high commissions for the United States, Australia, and Britain, and did these hula hoop actions and these big Unity for J chalkings, which was super cool, because it was actually like what I call like a mobile action. Like, they didn't just like hang out at one place. They actually went from place to place to place to place, which is much, much more high impact. Someone's saying stand on the street corner with a sign. Believe it or not, like, you can just, one person and one sign can actually access thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So from my perspective, pick the busiest highway, or pick the busiest street, or wherever there's the most foot traffic, or wherever there's like a major sporting event, or some, wherever you're going to get the highest concentration of regular everyday citizens. And that's where you want to get the message out. Whether it's free Assange, whether it's hash unity for J, just keep the message really, really simple and really, really short. And chalk is amazing. Like, you can chalk on walls, you can chalk, we used to go and chalk at basketball courts and like playgrounds, because you could go, suburb to suburb. And you wouldn't, like, it's so many people will access that message just by doing that. So I think, like, keep it really simple, keep it really local to wherever you are, and, let's chalk the planet. Let's soapbox as well. I mean, if you want to get up and just literally on a city street and just have a rant about why we should care that a publisher and a journalist is being basically incarcerated, effectively incarcerated in solitary confinement in a major Western city, while our, Western nations lecture about human rights every single day, yet they openly abuse the human rights of Julian Assange flagrantly, year in and year out, for no other reason than because he found extremely effective ways to challenge their power and their supremacy. God knows I could probably get up and soapbox for several hours if I had like the opportunity to do so. So yeah, just keep your actions focused on the general public, keep your messages really simple, and let's go for volume. Let's go for maximum volume and maximum reach, rather than just talking at people who, like government, who are like incentivized to not care and incentivized to not listen. Let's talk to the people who are more open-minded, and who could become a part of this movement, or any movement. that's related to this. So there's a bit of like tussling amongst various groups at the moment, and I'd just like to address that with one simple message. And that is, if there are people who don't like UNFJ and the UNFJ concept, or if there are people who don't like me for whatever reason, but they support Julian and they want Julian to be free, I completely and fully encourage those people to start their own groups or pursue their own groups or their own tactics or their own organizational structure or messaging or whatever it is that they want to do, however they want to do it. I literally think the more, the merrier. Like, the more movements that there are to free Julian, the better for all of us. The more tactics at play being employed to free Julian, the better for all of us. It's the same thing that I'm talking about with this decentralization. It's actually better if there's like 10, 20, 30 movements to free Julian than if there's just one movement. And it's better if different concepts are being used and if different methodologies are being used. And if people from specific ideologies want to have movements that are exclusive to their ideology, I say go for it as well. Because, like, it's a good thing. I hope that every political ideology and political faction has a movement. They don't have to be a part of our movement if they don't want to be. And so I just want to make it really clear that people taking actions in support of Julian, whether it's inside or outside of our movement, is a good thing for Julian. It's a good thing for the cause. And it's a good thing for us because it will put even more pressure on the power structure that is trying to kill Julian. If there are many, many groups and there are many, many factions. So I'm totally cool with that. What I'm not cool with is people attacking each other and undermining each other and being just unkind and brutal to each other, because that's not supporting Julian. Attacking other people who support Julian is not supporting Julian. So I have every person whose work I study and who I value and who I respect, they all have this common factor that you will never see them use their platforms to hurt people. You will always see them use their platforms to defend people and to stand up for people. Like, you're never going to see someone like Ray McGovern, and you wouldn't see it with Julian either. If you guys have read Being Julian Assange, I actually did a study on this. There are people who had criticized hundreds of times Julian, who had racked up hundreds of tweets, just absolutely tearing him to shreds, and over the course of years, and he would respond one time to them, and that's it. Julian is not someone who goes on hate campaigns. He's not someone who will use his time or put his attention or focus towards undermining people, except the power structure and the intelligence agencies. And if you look at my work, I try to walk in those footsteps. So my written work is always very focused on the intelligence agencies, very focused on the power structure, very focused on who is the real enemy, right? Not just on XYZ did ABC and DEF is what I think about it. This is bullshit waste of time. Bullshit waste of time. So we build these platforms, they're solidarity platforms. They're platforms for defending righteous people and for promoting righteous work. They're not platforms for attacking even people who've attacked us. So even people who've written nasty blog posts about us or whatever the hell, we're not, you will never, so long as I'm part of this, you will never see a unityforj.com blog post being circulated criticizing whoever, because that's not activism. That is not activism. Activism is focused on violations of human rights. Activism is focused on protecting and defending righteous people and righteous causes. Activism that is undermining or harming or detracting from another person is not activism. It's just petty immaturity at best, or actual state attempts to divide and conquer at worst. So I just want to get that out there. I think it's great if there are other people, other movements, other tactics. Good. let's have as much of it as possible. I'm just going to quickly find for you guys that super cool banner drop. I'm sure I had it here and now it's somehow disappeared. From Unity for J Day, and then I'll talk to you about the next Unity for J Day. Oh, look, you can see I'll just screen share. Here we go. So look, this is just from us having one Unity for J Day. Like, look at all of these amazing images. So we have like signs left on busy streets. This is actually in Ecuador. You have to forgive my computer's a bit slow at the moment, but this is someone actually in Ecuador protesting on Unity for J Day. This is another awesome banner that was done on Unity for J Day. This was actually, that was Wendy at the Grand Canyon. There is just like dozens of images of chalkings and signs left around. There was one amazing action I think Hope did, if I can shout her out, where she went and put Unity for J bookmarks in books at the library. Here are some great photos of the Free Julian candles at the Ecuadorian embassy. And here is the overpass banner drop that was done. Free Assange, join Unity, #Unity for J. This is in Victoria, BC in Canada. So, I mean, just standing there for a few hours with a banner like that, you're going to access untold amounts of people. So I just think that was an amazing initiative and like the perfect example of the type of thing that we want to see done. So you can look at #Unity for J Day if you want to see some of the things that people did. There's Zaldivar and the New York crew. Super cool. Super, super cool. Okay, so our master plan is that the first Saturday of every month we have the online vigil hosted by Joe Lauria and Consortium News. And then the following day after that, we have someone saying, nice work. It is really nice work. Like for the whole movement, everyone who made that happen. Then the following day, we have Unity for J Day. So that means, let me get my little calendar out. I think it's like I want to say like 7th and 8th of next month, but let's double check. If I go look in our awesome graphics channel, I think we already have the graphic for the next Unity for J Day that's going to, I think we'll probably put it out tomorrow. Let me have a look real fast for you guys. Yeah, and there was people who put graphics, like printed them and put them up in their cars and just drove around their cities. Just drove around their cities with #Unity for J in their windows, like in the back of their car. It's so classic. Ah, here it is. I have found it. So this is the awesome graphic that has been made for the next Unity for J Day. So that is on Sunday, the 7th of October, and that's our gorgeous new graphic for it. And you probably can't see it, but it says on the bottom, print posters, banners, right on walls, protests in the street, unityforj.com/discord, #boots on the ground, #free Assange. So I love that graphic. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, if Unity for J Day is the 7th, then that means the next online vigil will be the 6th of October. So that will be the next major events for Unity for J. Oh, hello. Somebody has just joined the stream. I've still got a bunch more stuff I've got to tell you guys and talk about that we have achieved and that we're going to get up to very shortly. I've got a couple of big initiatives I want to discuss with you tonight, but we have a visitor. And I just want to let her come on and say hi. Can you hear me?
Gosh, the thing with Zoom, I always forget to unmute myself. Anyway, I've been listening, and I actually wanted to add something. You were talking about people going out into the public and, you know, really approaching the people that actually are going to make the difference, which is the general public. I remember a guy I once saw sitting in a cafe, and he had in front of him like a very big nameplate, and it just said free advice. And it was sort of almost like a performance, but it was like people would come up to him because he'd said, you know, come here for free advice. And I was thinking it might be really amazing to go into a cafe and just put like a little placard up at your table and just say, please come and talk to me about Julian Assange. I'd love to tell you about his situation or whatever, you know, so that you're in a cafe, it's very casual, people have time to sit down and have a proper conversation with you. And I think if one is armed with one's laptop, which of course most cafes now have Wi-Fi, you know, you can introduce them to Unity for J and you can have a conversation and you can tell them all about Julian's situation. So I thought that'd be a really nice way to spend an afternoon where you just put a little placard on your desk, which means you can get on with other things on your computer while you're waiting for someone to come up, and just say, please come and talk to me about Julian Assange. So that's my little idea for engaging with people who at that point also have time because they're just having a coffee or whatever. And you'll have your laptop so you can show them really interesting things from the vigil. So I think that this is a good idea. So what do you think, Suzie? Putting you on the spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ms. Vivian Kubrick, who has joined the stream tonight. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, absolutely. I hope you you nonetheless can register what I meant by that little like nameplate, because I think it would be really a lovely way for people to meet other people who are like-minded, and a really great way of educating people about Julian's situation and having the ability to show them things on your laptop. And it's kind of cute, cool. You know, you're there on your own. You've got a little sign up. So anyway, I've done my best pitch for that idea. So I hope you like it.
I think that's a really good idea. But I'm also just thinking now, you're just inspiring me, and I'm thinking we need Unity for J screensavers so that when people are like fetching their coffee at the cafe, that literally their screen is just pumping out Unity for J graphics. How cool would that be? How awesome
would be brilliant.
Advertising. And then the next thing we need, and somewhere around here I could show you my Berlin laptop. Actually, it's broken
I do.
But I've still got it. Actually, hang on, let me have I'm gonna see if I can find it. Hang on 1 minute.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So am I still live? Can I get up and get a cup of tea? Are you still there? Hello? No. Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Go unmute yourself. Oh, there we go. Yeah, sorry. So
okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to show you guys this because I think it needs to be updated with Unity for J version. So this is my Berlin laptop that I use.
Wow.
Yeah, so on here you can see Chelsea Manning, you can see Julian, you can see Ed. Who else have I got on there? A few other faces. There's Jeremy Hammond.
Yeah.
WikiLeaks, obviously WikiLeaks stickers. I actually have a whole bunch on the back as well because I ran out of space.
It's very cool.
Even on the inside, I have my National Security Agency sticker. I don't know if you can see that right there. Monitored. It says monitored device, which you can be damn sure it was a monitored device, given the things that I was up to there. So, how awesome would it be if we get some sticker templates done for Unity for J that people can put on their laptops, right? So, because just think, like, you know, I mean, I do it all the time. I go to restaurants with my laptop and I have it open and I'm working away. So something as simple as having a huge like Unity for J sticker on your laptop could provide like hours of advertising, and you don't even have to do anything. You don't even have to, if you don't want to talk to people, you don't even have to talk to people. You can just sit there with your Unity for J on it.
Yeah, and you know what you made me think of is those decals that you can put on your car. You know, you could put it on the side of your car doors. I mean, I don't know how much they cost to make like a decal, that will stick on the outside of
We
your
had
vehicle.
someone do it. We actually had
really?
someone order them and do it. Yeah, we have some photos of it, of like their car like branded with Free Assange, Free Julian. Reminds me of the WikiLeaks truck. I don't know if you know about the WikiLeaks truck, but there was an awesome guy. Actually, he was at WikiLeaks truck on Twitter. He bought a truck and like just pimped it out with like Free Julian, WikiLeaks stuff. And all he would do is like drive this truck all through the city streets, and he was in Washington D.C. and New York and all different places. But attend activism events and protests and stuff, just parking this truck up, and like there's hundreds, thousands of photos of it all over the web. It's really, really, really cool.
Well, I think all of these ideas are the main thrust of this is to generate a conversation with people, because it's all very well them glancing at a thing that says Julian Assange, which certainly keeps it in their mind. But one has to counter all of the, well, I don't think there's any other way of putting this, the lies and misrepresentation as people understand it from the main news, media, the mainstream media. And, it's a very difficult thing because people don't have much time in the day, and they kind of glance at the news or hear something, and then they think they now have the knowledge. And so I think one has to kind of actually break through that. I don't know that this is a passive movement in that respect. I think people need to engage with other people. And actually, there was a very good video that someone put on the Discord thing, and you put it out on the Unity for J YouTube channel, is where it goes into great detail as to what happened when Julian was eventually accused of raping those women in Sweden. I've forgotten who made that.
Animated. Are you talking about the animated video?
Yeah, but
that is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I really encourage people to find that and spread it around, because that's someone who. Oh, sorry, my dog is now pulling something apart.
Cameo time.
Sorry, pulling this bag apart.
Cameo time.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
I'm saying dog cameo time.
Oh yeah, dog off camera time. Yeah. Anyway, and I don't think it's going to work to be passive about this. I think people really need to be. They have to imagine that they're at a party, and when you go to a party for the first time and you feel a bit awkward, and there's lots of people there that you don't know, and you've got the choice to sort of sit to the side and kind of look a bit pathetic, or you can just go up to people and start talking to them. So I think this is something where you might treat the world like a large cocktail party and just go up to people and, start conversation, maybe with your stickers, but people need to understand much more about Julian and get the actual correct information, which is why I love that video so much, which people really check it out. If you go to the Unity for J channel, or Suzie, is it on Unity for J or yours? Anyway, either one.
It was on what we call the All Platforms channel. If you guys are in the Discord server, there's a channel called #all-platforms. That is all of the content which has been approved for distribution on all the official Unity for J platforms, and it's in there. So I know it got tweeted out. Anything you see coming out of Twitter generally is coming from that All Platforms channel. So it's definitely on the @Unity4J Twitter account. It's an amazing short animated video. It's only, 6 or 7 minutes maybe. But it is an incredibly detailed, as you said, incredibly detailed retelling of the reality of what happened around those complaints. And it is it just blows the mainstream narratives to absolute shreds. It's really great. So social media admins, if you could find it and tweet it out again now for people, that would be fantastic. Also, just to quickly say, I just approved the event image for the next Unity for J Day, which means it's in all platforms now. So social media admins, if you want to grab that image out of all platforms and tweet it out, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
This is Joda, by the way, who was very happily lying down just then, but I just had to have a little cuddle. Anyway, going back to the videos, I think, the video of what actually happened in Sweden. It's very important, if you're not obsessed like I am, and have read lots of things about the Secret Service and the CIA. It is, Secret Service 101 to try and destroy someone's reputation through some sort of sexual act. And I'm sure everyone watching this knows this, but I'm just going to indulge myself, that they actually have hotels, places where they've got it completely mic'd up and cameras, video and everything, deliberately to capture someone and set them up, to put some sort of very compromising situation in front of them where, and I am sure this is true, where some of them are even drugged prior to being slung in one of these rooms. They get a bunch of photos and videos that are completely, would destroy their reputation or their careers. And they say, right, if you don't want this to end up on the internet, you better do what we say. And there was, oh God, what's his name now? He was, I think, either the Speaker of the House the House of Parliament or something like that, where, I don't remember it well enough to speak about this, but probably the audience know, that he actually said, where there was no room for, misinterpreting it, that they had a kind of a culture in Parliament of acquiring knowledge about everyone who has a seat in Parliament. And if they get a little bit out of hand, or they're not doing, they're not working with the government, they threaten them with these compromising pieces of information. So it really is such a classic thing. And of everything that I can think of Julian Assange, the last thing I would think of is him being a predatory, misogynistic rapist. I can't think of anyone less likely to have those characteristics. And so anyway, look, I'm going on too long about this, but it is the only thing that has besmirched his reputation, because everything else he's done, that's for the good of mankind, and I can understand how the military or the police or people who have vested interests in, information not getting out, are unhappy about Julian exposing them. But let's face it, he's exposed crimes. He hasn't exposed embarrassing, things, like, someone likes to have sex with a pair of nappies on, with milk and wheat mixed up in it. These are things that are vitally important to mankind. So I just want everyone to make a really concerted effort to kind of think of what they're going to say to people that will take no longer than a minute, to just put some different information into their minds about who Julian is. Anyway, sorry, I'm going to pick eyelashes out.
No, it's all right. And you can also tell, I mean, as you're saying, there's like a methodology to it, the way that they undermine and attack people. And that goes for the like online troll accounts as well. Like I was just talking before about how I was literally laying in bed like at night thinking, how can I like arrange it so I never have to be on stream again? And then the very next day, then someone was like, oh, you're just a narcissist who loves seeing yourself on camera, blah, blah, blah. And it's so ironic. But at the same time, as soon as they said that to me, I clicked that word narcissist. Mm-hmm. Narcissist is what the intelligence agencies called Edward Snowden. They said Snowden, this was their line. This is what they called Snowden. They said Snowden did the leaks because he was a narcissist. And then, but this is also what they call Julian. They say Julian is a narcissist. They said even in the court filings against Chelsea Manning, they said Manning did it because Manning was a narcissist. This is like one of these like continuing themes. They use the same language. Same thing as when the New Zealand media were finally forced to acknowledge my situation during the election campaign. They actually was able to obtain proof that the news editor, the top news editor at the paper, at the last minute inserted this specific phrase into the first sentence of their profile of me. They said self-imposed exile. as if like I had just like thought, you know, it's a great idea to like have a holiday or something as an exile, and as opposed to like it put the onus on me rather than on the people who had been persecuting me and trying to destroy my life. And when I looked up self-imposed exile, because I had this feeling like I've heard this term before. Where have I heard this term before? And I looked it up, and sure enough, if you Google or you web search self-imposed exile Assange, there's thousands of media results. Self-imposed. They're saying that he's a self-imposed exile, like he imposed his own exile in the Ecuadorian embassy. And then if you web search self-imposed exile Snowden, there's thousands of media results saying that Snowden is a self-imposed exile. And they had pulled the same stunt with me. Suzie Dawson, self-imposed exile. Because it's how they victim blame. It's how they shift the attention from the people who forced us into exile and onto us instead. So you see this like the use of the same language over and over and over and over again. And they just shift that language across all of the people that they target. Yeah, cookie. Someone just said in chat, and they've just nailed it. Joanna has just said cookie cutter strategies. She says they don't have much creativity, do they? Cookie cutter strategies. Honest to God, web search Suzie Dawson self-imposed exile, Edward Snowden self-imposed exile, Julian Assange self-imposed exile. You'll see just lists of all of these results for each of us. And you're exactly right. It's cookie cutter strategies because they devise like a process for how to attack someone, how to target someone, how to discredit someone, and then they just roll that same process out against every single target. So when you see the similarities and you can actually draw the lines between them, you understand, wow, they really are just manufacturing this just to discredit people.
Yeah, I mean, look, at certain points, just to talk about my own true knowledge of these situations. With my father, for instance, whenever he did something that was particularly, let's say, controversial. But controversial, certainly. It was amazing, the stories that came out about him, that he drove around with a crash helmet on, that, he was completely reclusive, that he was a nutcase. Very early on, my father just was so horrified by his efforts to have intelligent interviews and conversations with journalists. And then, a few days later, this article would come out where almost nothing of what he said was in it. And now there was completely invented rubbish that was in the article. And, at certain times, as I said, depending on what film it was, it would then turn into an attack piece. And, so I think that artists, activists, really anybody who has an impact on society, if they're not liked by the powers that be, they are attacked, not for what they do and say, but for themselves. And I think it's by now perhaps something that people are familiar enough with, that people are getting savvy to this, that if someone is being crucified in terms of their own personality, I think that should throw up a big red flag and let you know that something's up if they're attacking the person. Because let's face it, my dad was not somebody that sought the limelight. In fact, he so hated it, he never even went to award ceremonies where he was nominated because he hated it so much. So it's like he wasn't trying to get the limelight. He wasn't ever initiating any attention upon himself. So it really does underline, and I can tell you from my own inside knowledge, my father was nothing like how he was represented. He was probably, I think one of the sanest celebrities when I think, of some of the celebrities I know. And I think that he did everything he could to make journalists, tell the truth. And, even to the point where he'd make them sign agreements that they would not print it without his approval and things like that in an effort to control it. So I just want people to also start thinking about maybe just completely ignoring the newspapers from now on, because they're meant to sell themselves, right? So they're always going to kind of exaggerate in order to be sensational. And so far, they're proving themselves to be, by and large, so inaccurate and a tool for power. So, that's why something like, these vigils has been so refreshing, because you've got real people who've really dug in, like a lot of these journalists and activists, which is why I've loved watching the vigils. So if you haven't caught the other vigils, it's really such a wonderful, what would be the cornucopia of intelligent conversation about things that actually matter. I know Kim Kardashian, oh my God, I'm sorry. Normally they're not like this. Anyway, they've run off into the garden. And I've no idea how many people watching this. It would be interesting to see on the comments whether anyone actually bothers to read the newspapers anymore.
There's a lot of people responding to what you're saying, and they're saying the truth is out there. If you make the effort to find it. There's other people saying they do ignore the MSM. They're a total waste of time. Read indie media. And they're trying to get the neighbours to read indie media too as well. Someone else is saying disconnect your television. I haven't had network television in years. It was one of the best things I ever did, actually, was even with my kids grew up never watching television. They just didn't have it. They could watch movies, watch DVDs, fine, but never watching television. And not watching television doesn't just mean you're not subjected to the bullshit 6 p.m. news. But it means that you're not subjected to all the advertising either. And it's amazing. It's amazing the difference that makes. Like, my kids grew up not having all of the advertising shoved down their throats, and they're not being aware of all the commercial crap. So that was a really, really good thing for them. But also for me, I noticed it retrospectively, when I watched the Oscars for Citizen 4, I didn't know who most of the celebrities at the Oscars were. There's people winning awards and I didn't know their names because I hadn't had the advertising shoved down my throat to teach me who those people's names are, to teach me about those people. So whereas if I'd gone back 5 or 10 years earlier, I would have known all of them because they're household names and blah, blah, blah. And I realized at that point, oh my God, by just cutting the television out of my life, I've actually, because it really does, the television teaches you to care about pointless shit, stuff that is not at all consequential to humanity, but they make it like it is. And so when you remove it changes your paradigm.
Yeah, and for anyone that's trying to kind of understand more about this, Suzie and I were just talking about the other night, watch Joe Rogan talking to Elon Musk. I think it's such an important reality check on what artificial intelligence is, how they are. I mean, I'm not going to destroy it by trying to give you a little, précis of what he talked about. Please just look for it, because it's first of all, an incredibly knowledgeable man telling you about this thing that we're just touching on by describing what's on TV, what we're just touching on when we talk about how Julian Assange is so misrepresented. It is, in effect, a controlled reality. And, the more that people actually think for themselves and make it a point to be highly suspicious of particular phrases, accusations, and stories that are repeated throughout, social media, the news, and everything. Because in that way, the thing that's getting the most attention is definitely the thing they're trying to ram down your throat. And in which case, it's probably lies. And well, when I say probably, it's definitely lies. It's either
lies or it's inconsequential. Because they want us to be fascinated and spellbound by inconsequential things, and they want us to spend our time worshipping inconsequential things, and that's why it's such a threat to them when you worship WikiLeaks, you worship truth tellers or whistleblowers. Imagine if our kids grew up worshipping Chelsea Manning or worshipping Julian Assange and not worshipping Justin Bieber or, you know, insert whatever, you know, because the kids is where it starts, right? Like they go even, you know, from like tweens, the marketing people, these companies even like come up with names for their target audiences, like, and they shove it down their throats. Like imagine a generation of children who grew up with pictures of Edward Snowden and Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning on their wall and not Justin Bieber and, oh God, what's her name?
Obama.
Yeah, I can't even get
I know Obama. Holding up Obama is some great figure.
That would completely change paradigm. Okay, I'm going to stop us for 1 second because we're getting really far off the movement news.
We are.
I think everyone loves the conversation we're having, and I think it's very relevant actually to WikiLeaks. But I just quickly want to I want to wrap up the movement stuff because there's more information I want to tell people about. If my brain is forever coming up with these ideas, and I've got some ideas about what we're going to do next.
Now, I love that you're going to do that because I'm capable of going off on tangents and probably all night. So go.
Well, I think you and I have proved that we're fully capable of having particularly long conversations, you know, off screen, and now we're proving we can do it on screen. But I just have to say, someone in chat just said that Oliver Stone showed Vladimir Putin Dr. Strangelove.
Yes, actually, that was hilarious. When I was watching it, by the way, if you haven't seen Oliver Stone's documentary, An Interview with Putin, you're really missing something because Putin is a very interesting man. But yeah,
Vivian, I feel so stink and embarrassed. I've seen everything Oliver Stone has done, but I've never seen Dr. Strangelove.
That's really, really good. Oh my God, you're going to love it.
How embarrassing. Like, I know more about you than I do about your dad, by far.
Well, let me just say is that I think the fascinating thing about Dr. Strangelove is I've said this before, I think on the Vigil, but it really is fascinatingly weird. It was in a Noam Chomsky's book where he said that in 1984, it was revealed that the scenario that occurs in Dr. Strangelove is actually what happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis, where some general like completely raised the level to where they were almost like launching nuclear missiles. And you have to find it in the book. I actually have tweeted about it before, and I should look again and tweet it out. But it's really, really amazing. And after that happened, the CIA actually contacted my father and invited him to be interviewed, of which he politely declined. But evidently it was because I guess they were wondering why he knew about that scenario. Except I believe the book was written, which I think the book that it was based on was called Red Alert. And I think Red Alert predates the Cuban Missile Crisis. So whoever was calling him up for an interview was not exactly up to speed. But anyway, it's kind of a very alarming fact. And people should look at it in Noam Chomsky's book. God damn it. I wish I could remember the time. I never can remember anything. I can't even remember my own father's quotes. Anyway, back to you, Suzie.
Okay, I'm enjoying bouncing between. I am listening to you, but I'm enjoying bouncing between the myriad of tweets that people are sending out right now. It's amazing. God. And also the chat. There is a ton of love. I'm going to have to actually like watch Dr. Strangelove because there are people just saying it's epic, it's amazing, it's incredible. I've read like typically this is so typical of me. I've read things about Dr. Strangelove, but I haven't actually watched Dr. Strangelove.
All right, let me just say, I'm going to fully admit this now. It's my favorite of his films because it's I guess it's just right up my street. It's black comedy, and it's brilliantly done. I mean, even if I say so myself, it really is brilliant, and I think it's probably the only way one could even face or even half confront the horror of nuclear war. And so if anybody hasn't seen Dr. Strangelove, if you're young and you haven't ever seen it before, it's not dated. It's just stellar. It is a stellar movie, and I fully encourage people to watch it.
You know what it is? It's consequential. Like I was just saying that they shove inconsequential things. They want to make us care about inconsequential things. It's just come to me that Dr. Strangelove was consequential. It's like the complete opposite. It is engaging people in important, critically important content and subject matter. And in that regard, that would be why it would be considered, his work would be considered to be a threat. If it's educating people on the topics that they don't want us thinking about and they don't want us talking about.
Yeah, and actually, just to give you another weird little bit of odd stuff that happened, is that when Dr. Strangelove, the premiere of Dr. Strangelove was the same day that JFK was assassinated, so that my father actually had to cancel the premiere. I mean, on that day, everything was cancelled. And it's just such a weird connection that JFK would be assassinated on the day that Dr. Strangelove was premiered, and the Cuban Missile Crisis coincidentally follows very closely the scenario in the film. It's just the weirdest coincidence. But yeah, it's an odd one. I'm incapable of shutting up, so just please just come in whenever you like, Suzie.
I like it. I think I'm spellbound by it, and quite a few other people, I think, agree. I mean, chat, whenever you talk, like when I talk, chat goes like pretty quiet. Everyone's like, "We love you, Suzie," and then it's pretty quiet. No, and then when you talk, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, and watch this," and blah blah blah. And there's someone sending me a documentary about Dr. Strangelove, and other people like talking about like this, that, and that thing. So you win the engagement prize. Like, well, you really do.
I'm very happy about that, because frankly, you say that you don't like to be on camera. I have literally like broken probably 30, 40 years of me I just never did interviews, never went on anything, because I know it may seem ridiculous seeing as I can't seem to shut up, but I just have been so uncomfortable ever doing things like that. But what I really wanted to do is not only support you, every time you do these things. I know what it is to be a lonely artist in a garret, and you just have to kind of bring your own energy to something and keep it going. And in many ways, activists are exactly like artists. They kind of have to initiate and keep the power going. So in many ways, when I come on with you, which I have on every single one, in many ways, it's very much how I was with my father. I supported him hugely, even from when I was a little kid. And I know that other artists are watching this, and other activists, and so you'll know what this feels like. When you're not sure about what you've done, you're not even sure if it's going to go anywhere or be completely absurd. In fact, my father's favorite quote was from Napoleon, where he said that's a thin line between the sublime and the ridiculous. So there's a sort of a quality of feeling ridiculous, and yet there's also the truth of the sublimeness of people who are willing to just take on these huge issues, whether they be artists or activists. And I remember when we were talking, and it was all this ridiculous fiddling that YouTube was doing, and whoever was like diminishing all the numbers of viewers and things like that. I think that never is there a reason to feel disheartened, because every one of us is capable of starting something enormous. My father was just a kid from the Bronx. He had nothing. He failed at school. He was rubbish at it. He just happened to love photography. When he went to Look magazine to get a job, they said, "Oh, you're rubbish at photography, piss off," or, a New York version of that conversation. And then my dad, who was, like I say, he had that energy, as all activists and artists do, to just keep keep at it, to persist at it. So he went to the receptionist and he chatted her up, and he said, could you get my photographs to the main editor, not the, you know, whatever little Napoleon was at the editor's desk looking at photographs. And they gave him a job immediately, and he had this exalted career as a teenager, you know, photographing the likes of Leonard Bernstein and movie stars and whatever. And then he decided he wanted to make films. So he threw off a job that everyone thought he was insane to do that, as I'm sure people think Julian Assange was insane to take on, well, let's face it, those elite on this planet that are destroying humanity. And that's a pretty big project. That is a pretty goddamn big project. And yet Julian, who was, you know, no more equipped than any other, you know, than anyone else. It makes me think of Lord of the Rings, where Frodo sort of says, well, you know, I'm really not the person that you need to, like, you know, take on this very important work. And then Gandalf says to him, yes, but you've been chosen. So in many ways, we've all been chosen. If you raise your level of consciousness up to the point where you know that you must do something, in effect, you are chosen. And like Christ said, you know, forgive them for they know not what they do. The majority of the people that just don't know what's going on, and they haven't got enough raised consciousness to take this choice. It's a choice to do something monumental, even though none of us are really equipped to handle it. Yet somehow, you know, like you, Suzie, somehow you've done this incredible thing. And I know you've had help and everything, but you spearheaded this. And just like my father couldn't make a film if other people didn't help him, the fact is, it was his force of nature to make the choice to take on this huge challenge. So I just encourage everyone, if you feel ridiculous standing all alone on the street with your banner saying, you know, free Julian Assange, you know, understand that that is what every artist and activist has to face at a first level, is this fine line between the sublime and the ridiculous. But know that the choice that you're making is sublime, and anything that you do is like exponentially geometrically, explosively important. You know, my father was just a little kid from the Bronx, and he ended up making some of the most iconic movies in film history. And I can tell you, he was just a normal guy. He was a normal guy. Everybody thinks that people who do something incredible must be in themselves incredible people. What's incredible is the choice they made, the choice to make a difference. And, you know, I'm going off on this because I don't want people to feel belittled or feel that what they're doing is unimportant, or like, you know, when Elizabeth mentioned that you could have a bake sale and donate the money to Wikipedia. You have to understand that I think the energy of love and help and goodness is more powerful than evil, selfishness. Sorry, now I'm choking. I'm sure it's just trying to say something of importance. Oh, Suzie, fill in while I choke.
I'm just sitting here smiling at you.
Oh, what, choking?
I'm just sitting here smiling at you. No, not at you choking, you joker. No, I'm sitting here smiling at you because the things that you say are so authentic and so real and so touching and so significant. Like I said, I'm spellbound. You're a beautiful person, you're a beautiful friend, and we're lucky to have you.
Well,
but I should also wake the hell up because it is now 6 a.m.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just want to tell everyone, when we're on the phone together, we talk sometimes like 2 hours or something insane. So I'm afraid if I could see all the people watching, I'd probably be much more shy, but all I can see is Suzie. So I'm just happy happy to chat. Anyway,
the chat's awesome. There's people saying, Vivian, you're making me tear up. I think you're talking directly to my soul. That's what someone
good, because I'm talking from, I just want to say, because I am talking from my soul, you know, and I think that this is what's so important about communication, is that the more we communicate to each other, the more we will empower each other. And I just really hope that everyone who watches this or who's watching now have strong faith in yourself, that you are not ridiculous, you are sublime for taking part in this and for helping Julian and for interacting and being a team player in this, and understanding that it's a, I want to just say this because it's really important. I was saying about how goodness and love is a more powerful vibration than evil. And although God knows very bad things have happened on this planet, and you might think that evil just seems to have its way, it's because people keep missing the fact that they have this power and they don't use it. You know, so if you use it, if you pour out love, if you pour out your interests and concerns for others, and that particularly with Unity for J, you make it a policy, but you take it into your heart. We're working together. I have completely different viewpoints from other people that have taken part in this. You know, I don't have a left or a right wing opinion. I care about people being free and about them achieving their highest potentials. That's what I'm interested in. And anyone who does anything that contributes to that, whether they're right, left, or whatever, I'm going to back that thing that they're doing that makes sense. So I just want to reiterate again that Suzie was so right when she said, just leave it out fighting with each other. Just leave it out even being upset or angry. Know that the higher vibration and the more powerful thing is to communicate. And by communicating, you will, in effect, dissolve the issues that you have with people. Just be calm and know that what you're taking part in is an elevated project. It's not, you know, you don't have to fight with the people that are working on this. So I just really bless everyone for taking part, for helping, for listening, and especially Suzie, no matter what you say, even though you've got all kinds of people supporting you and helping you work, and of which all of us appreciate it. You mustn't underestimate your part in spearheading this, because that is the same thing that my father did, for instance, being a director. He created the project. He put all his heart and soul and life into keeping that moving forward. And that's what you've been doing, Suzie. And like my father, you don't like sticking your face in front of a camera and having everyone pay attention to you. He hated it. So that's why he didn't attract and didn't seek that. So I understand it, and I hope people understand that about me. Every time Suzie invites me, I go, are you sure? You know, like, really? I don't want you to think that, you know, you've got to have me on, because I'd be offended. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up now because I just get overexcited and then I can't shut up. But anyway, good one, Suzie, and everyone who's helping you.
Yeah, we have like 100 people watching us just on my personal YouTube channel. I don't know how many on the Unity stream. I don't know how many on the Facebook streams. I don't know how many on the Periscope stream. But I think it's like remarkable, even, and who knows how accurate any of the numbers are, but it's remarkable that we have this amazing group of people on such short notice who care about this and who want to spend their time here with us. I'm really grateful for that. Okay, I can feel myself fading, so I'm going to try and get through this next little part pretty quickly. So there is something that has been going on for the last few weeks which is problematic, and which I've devised a solution to. So that is that I have been experiencing what can only be described as massive technical interference. I've been experiencing it in several ways. Important emails that I'm sending aren't making it through to people or ending up in junk mail. Emails that are being sent to me go missing for days at a time, then show up in my junk mail, even though they're people I regularly communicate with. Duplicate emails show up, like sent with exactly the same timestamp and same information, are showing up in my junk mail. On the Discord server, when I am posting messages, duplicate messages are appearing, as if there's 2 copies of things that I write being captured and showing up on the server. Some things that I write aren't showing up at all on the server, they just appear in red, and then like after the fact they'll or I'll recopy them in. Many people started to complain that they couldn't see the channels and they couldn't see the content, and these are channels that they were frequently appearing in. Like, they were frequently engaging in actions in those channels and in conversations in those channels, and then they couldn't see the channels are vanishing on them. The access to the channels is being revoked. There appears to be tampering with permissions and tampering with accesses. And I don't believe it's any of our mods. I'm very, very confident in our mod teams, and I'm very confident in our admins. We have very tight barriers around like who does what and who. I'm very happy. Our organizational structure is good. It's sound, but the platform is not sound. The technology is not sound. I have like terrible viruses on my computer's a rundown piece of shit. I really badly need a new one. However, the next thing I'm going to say is going to make sense to people in the CCC community and other tech activists, serious tech activists. I have got viruses of a nature where they are able to control network accesses for other surrounding devices that are not directly networked to my device other than through the same internet connection, which means that I'm saying this for the benefit of tech activists who may or may not be watching this, and I'm not going to give specifics as to the software employed, but this machine is controlling network connections on other devices in my home. And that should not be possible. However, it is possible. I mean, we know it's possible. We know how that's done. There's been discussions about this for years, this capability, but it is only very, very, very high-level state actors that have the ability to do that, to jump literally through the airwaves, because it's proximity-based. So if I separate the devices, no, it's not an issue of quantum computing at all. But for example, the status of my network connections on another device is altered by whether this device is in physical proximity to it. I'm not going to go into any of the specifics about why, where, how, or when, but people who are tech activists will understand what I'm talking about. And it's a step beyond. This isn't just the hacking team level, commercial software that's available to contractors, etc. SL, that's a really good question, and I have a whole set of issues with hardware. I'm not sure if it will happen. I suspect personally that it would happen if I use a wired connection, because the Wi-Fi, the network adapter, is still in the computer. I think if I used a wired connection and physically removed the Wi-Fi adapter from the computer, then possibly simply turning Wi-Fi off from BIOS level is not going to make any fucking difference. But for example, they're actually going so far as tampering with certain software settings on programs that they shouldn't be able to tamper with, and that's coming from a secondary device and not from that device. So things like that are really, that's the kind of level of interference. Now, moving along from that, because, whatever, I'm supporting someone who is a known target of the CIA, so whatever, of course I'm going to have, as high-level shit as possible infecting all my stuff. However, so I'm asking myself, what can we do? Now, I don't want to I don't want to just migrate to another proprietary or commercial solution, because we're just going to end up with the same set of problems. And I don't really want to. I mean, we could, and it might be beneficial, but I don't really want to embark on a 3, 6, 12-month custom build of our own in-house software. What I think that we should do to circumvent this is if I can't trust email and if I can't trust Discord and I can't trust messages that I send in text because they're either interfered with or delayed or manipulated by whatever means, then maybe what I can trust is us all being on Zoom together. So what I've been thinking is this. Asal saying, ask Jake or Kim. You know, I'd like to actually give a bit of a speech about Jake and Aryan and some of the other amazing people that I know who do travel around the world helping activists who are in situations like me with their technical problems. But moving along, someone saying there's like Wire chat. The problem is, Navigator, that like Wire is end-to-end encrypted. There's a bunch of others. There's Riot. There's other text and chat channel encrypted platforms, but the devices are vulnerable. So even though it's encrypted in transit, the devices are, the encryption is bypassed when the endpoints are compromised. But let me get on to my solution. And of course, my solution is unfortunately the total opposite of my fantasy about not having to be on stream anymore. But my solution is that, Vivian's smiling at me. My solution is this, okay? The Zoom can hold 100 people. It can hold, I think, up to 25 panelists. And so what I'm thinking is that we maybe we still keep the State of the Movement addresses as being like a recap address. But what I'm thinking is we take like 3 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week, because I work on Unity for J every single day of the week, but let's take 3 or 4 days of the week and let's open a Zoom and broadcast a stream, and let's have all of our mods and our channel leads and our team leads for the movement come into the Zoom and literally hold an online working bee and do the work that we do on the movement together on stream. So instead of sending someone an email or a message or whatever, I think if we apply transparency, radical transparency to what we're doing, and we do it on stream in real time, that not only does it create an indelible public record, but it also,
you get the information to each other.
Accountability. Yeah, and you get the immediate result of knowing it, right?
Right.
I think it's going to make things a lot more difficult for the powers that be, because they're taking a big risk. Their deniability kind of goes out the window. If Susie's on stream sending a message to XYZ person, and you can see on that day at that time this was sent to this person, the deniability when it comes to interfering with the technology goes out the window. So I'm thinking a couple of things here.
Sorry, I just want to say, just like Wikipedia, when they said, can everyone download these documents so that they're safe on many, many, many people's computers?
WikiLeaks, yeah.
Well, in the same way with Zoom, you can record Zoom. It has that setting, which means that people can
absolutely. We record everything locally and we back up everything. Absolutely. So here's what I'm thinking, okay? I'm thinking we hold online working days. We have all of our trusted contributors in the movement actually can be on camera together. We can literally tile it in gallery view. We can have 12 or 20 people on stream working at the same time. We can invite anyone who's a participant in the movement to join the Zoom. We can have 100 people in the Zoom, and then we can broadcast it to Facebook and Twitter and to Periscope, Facebook, and to YouTube, so that thousands, if they want to, can participate actively. And we have the restream chat so that people can interact through there if they can't get into the Zoom, if they aren't in the first 100. And I can sit here and be like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do other thing, and everybody can all collaboratively work together on their stuff as well. Because all of our team leads all have a task list, and they all have people that they work with. And I'm just thinking this is really very, I like the transparency side of it. And I think that we could grow that community, because ultimately all we've got 2,955 people who've joined the server, the Discord server. Every single one of those came to us through the streams. So the streams are accessible to 100% of our audience because it's where 100% of our audience came from. So using the stream as the medium for not just communication, but for actively working on the movement, I think could be the solution that I'm looking for.
I think it's genius. Yeah. It's genius because also if you keep a record of it on Unity for Jay, you know, as a channel, it means that anybody who comes in later into the game, they can catch up with all the previous meetings. You don't have to like re-educate them every time, because in effect, all the meetings are there so they can just watch, let's say, you know, 23 hours over a couple of weeks, and catch up with all the decisions that were made and ideas. And plus, let's face it, transparency, they, you know, the secret services around the world are going to know and listen and look at everything anyway. So,
yeah, what we're doing is making it accessible to the good guys, because the bad guys already have it all. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree with what you're saying there. I completely agree with it. I hate it for the idea of like me having to be on stream for more endless hours, but at the same time, I'm working on Unity for Jam on my laptop anyway. I may as well. You guys might have to put up with a few bad hair days or like me typing away on the stream in my bed, but so what? Like ultimately, it's for the best, I think. And a lot of people are already saying that they like this idea, and I think it can work really well. So if there's people who, you know, don't want to sit and watch us work or work with us for however many hours at a time, how many days a week, they can still just like use the Discord. They can still just show up for the online vigils once a month or do the Unity for J ground actions. But for those who, there are many dozens of people who've been on a daily basis working for this movement. For those people, I think this could work really, really, really well.
I think it's genius. It's genius, Suzie. It's a brilliant idea. It really, really is. It's so obvious as well. It's so simple, but you know, it's a brilliant idea. I love it.
I can hear like Commander X in my head as well. He's going to be like, "You've just invented some like new activism initiative, blah, blah, blah. No one's ever done this before." Well, you know, why not? Why? I mean, we're at this point, like we already live stream our actions. We already like have our YouTube channels where we talk to everyone. Why not do activism in real time on stream? Like it seems like, to me, it seems like the logical next step, you know. And it's kind of it's similar to what we were doing with Internet Party last year, where we're actually holding meetings live online. We're actually like campaign meetings and stuff. I think I like the idea of working bees, like working bee for Jay. Working bee for Jay.
what sorry, say that again. Working what? Say
working
it again.
Bee. Working bee for Jay. Yeah, because that's how I see it. I see it as the working bee, where everybody comes together, you know, and we're like, okay, these are the 10 things we want to accomplish today. And you do this, and you work on this, and you work on this, and you work on this, and we all just like talk to each other. And okay, we've done this now. Here, this is ready to go out. Oh, this needs approval. Oh, blah, 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 blah. The same stuff we do every day. Like every day, I'm like working with the graphics team, working with the and I have, you know, all the different teams and the different channel leads and the mods and stuff. I think like pretty much all of our mods are used to like streaming or doing stuff anyway, so it probably suits them. I know Joe, our tech director, will love this because he is like 100% like pro. Let's put everything on the internet, be transparent. Let's do everything in the open. Blah 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 blah. And I actually agree with him. I think it provides us a level of protection, and I think it is going to make it virtually impossible for people to, for the bad guys to interfere. It's gonna destroy their deniability.
Well, let me just say, because YouTube is really cutting, well, YouTube is Google, I think it would be really worth either doing a mirror channel on real video. I think it's Mike Adams.
We've got the blockchain. So what we do is we broadcast it live, simulcast live to DLive, the steamer. We've got the blockchain. We publish it to the blockchain, and it can't ever be interfered with. We have 100% data integrity. So even if YouTube, you know, cancels our accounts, or even if whatever does whatever. Eben, no sex jokes, please. Eben's saying B4. Jay sounds like blowjobs. No blowjobs here. Sorry.
Actually, I was going to say, is this some Kiwi phrase, working bee? Because I've never heard it before.
Oh, maybe it is. Haven't you heard it? Oh, in New Zealand we have working bees. It's like you have the community working bees. It'll be like such and such has been in hospital and needs her grounds done. So like 10 different people from the nation will come down and like work, or like they have a working bee always has like this task list. Like these are the things we want to accomplish, and lots of people will like come together to just nail it like in a day, like just knock that whole list off. So
I'm glad you explained that, because Sorry, I'm glad you explained that, because I don't know. I may not be the only one that was like going, working bee. Working bee. What does working bee mean?
Well, I'll have to come up with a better name then, or a more accessible name, but I feel like that's really going to... so then the Discord becomes a secondary tool rather than a platform that we are primarily dependent upon.
Yeah, good.
Okay, I'm just thinking, is there anything else here that I've missed that I want to talk about? Guys, do you have questions? If I'm looking in the YouTube chat, if mods can please relay questions from Facebook or from the other streams, the Periscope would be really helpful to me. But you guys, any questions, spit them out now. I don't think I've missed anything. I'm sure I'll get off stream and be like, oh, I should have told them about ABC. Health of the movement, right. So here's that, sorry, that's something else that I wanted to put in. Is like, I want to institute, and we'll probably do this in like the first day or two of working beats. We have so many moving parts and components of this movement, and I wanted to create like health of the movement indicators, like red, orange, green, because there are some parts of this movement that are so flawless that I check in like with them constantly, and everything is absolutely perfect and working great by itself, and I don't have to do a damn thing about it. Like, for example, the Twitter account. The Twitter account is amazing. If you go and look at @Uni4J timeline, it is like constantly pumping out amazing stuff. It's promoting videos. It's got graphics. It's got amazing background information about WikiLeaks. And it's got, I would give the Twitter account like a 10 out of 10. Our social media admins are just kick-ass, and they do such an amazing job. And I'm so grateful. Every time I look at their feed, I'm like, this is the shit. This is awesome. I'm so proud. Same thing actually with the Facebook. Now, I probably log into Facebook for about like 4 minutes a week. If you see my Facebook page, I probably post like 3 times a week at the most, sometimes like once a week. And then I get off. Like, I do my post and I get the hell out of there. But I go and look at the Uni4J page. And the Uni4J Facebook page is amazing. Perfect. Love it. Same thing. It's exactly like the Twitter account. It's actually different people doing it than they're doing the Twitter account, but they're doing as good a job. So like, if I had like a little list of like all of our channels and groups and stuff from the Discord, like Facebook is like green light and Twitter is like green light. Same thing with our graphics team. Our graphics team produces amazing content in a short time frame. Same thing with our comms team, our press releases. I'm very happy with that. This is all like green light stuff that I'm highlighting right now. There is some stuff that is orange light or red light for me. Red meaning like needs to be worked on urgently to get it up to par, and that is the website, because a whole bunch of stuff has been done on the back end, like in our GitHub, a whole bunch of work. Like, I'm not discrediting the web team at all, because I see all the pushes through the Git. It's happening in the back end. But what's not happening is the collaboration between the teams to move the content so that it actually makes it into the front end. For example, we currently have built already the goodies section for all the downloadable content, the gallery section for all of the past videos and everything to go into. We have already a whole bunch of translations and a whole bunch of transcriptions of past video stuff ready to go up, but it hasn't physically been loaded because we haven't collected that content and delivered it to the web team to upload. So if you look at our website, it looks like nothing's been done, no change has been made. But in reality, all the functionality has been built and all of the content has been completed. We just have to match those two together, and we would call it deployment in software development terms. We have to deploy it. So that's something I really, really want to work on, is getting all of the changes to our website, so turning that red into an orange and then into a green, until I can say that I'm as happy about our website as I am about, our social media accounts or our press releases or whatever else. So I have got I've got a whole visual map of the movement. I'll save this stuff actually. Sorry, Mackenzie, if you're looking and wondering why I haven't done our PowerPoint presentation yet. I'll save it for the first day of the working bee. We have like mapped out the whole structure of the movement, all of the teams, the sub-teams, who's in charge of them, what channels are associated with each, what the functions of those channels are, what people with XYZ role on Discord should be doing and engaging, and some basic workflows of like how we go from needing a press release to having a published press release, for just as one example. Let's cover that off in the first working day. Working party. Someone just said working bee, also known as a working party. Working party for J?
Sounds a bit communistic. Working party. Very close to workers' party.
We need to come up with some, I like really catchy short names. Like Unity for J Day made me very happy because it's just so simple. I want something like that.
Sorry, all you communists out there.
The marketing.
To offend you.
What are you talking to? I'm kind of, well, I wouldn't say communist, but I'm definitely a sympathizer. Yeah, they can add that to my file. But the marketing like brain in me is saying it has to be short, it has to be catchy, it has to be something that people hear once and they never forget. Like nobody forgets Unity for J Day. It's like, how could you forget it? It rhymes. It's simple. It's easy. Work for J. Working for J. Working for J. Working for J.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Working for J Day. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'll come up with it. But
I think working bee is a very working bee must be a very Kiwi phrase because I've never ever heard it before.
Some of the Americans said, yeah, we use that in America.
What?
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm not really an American, am I suppose? I grew up in England. All right, we didn't use it in England then.
Jobs for J. Someone's saying JA work day. Working for J.
Actually, jobs for J. I like that. Jobs for J. Jobs for Julian. It is jobs, isn't it?
So this is cool. Already everybody everyone's into it, full on.
Well, maybe you should make a folder on Discord for ideas of what to call this this transparency for J, transparent jobs for transparency, whatever it is. I think the transparency thing and everyone like the working bee idea of everybody working to help others. This is singularly, though, working to help one person. So, jobs for J, I think that's the most clear, that's what everyone's doing. You're doing a job to free Julian. I mean, this is like, naming the title of a film or a song. You have to go through all kinds of tomorrow, today, yesterday, brilliant idea, for all you Beatle fans out there. But yeah, finding the titles for things, that's kind of fun. Maybe you should have like I say, a Discord idea for catchy ideas for this working group,
X, I'm just reading people's comments.
Oh, what?
X, I did realize, considering you're broadcasting the audio, that you're probably tuned in. And also, I'm actually really flattered that you would go so far as to say that I'm changing the way that activism works, because I'm really fucking terrible at taking compliments, in case you haven't noticed. But there have been some pretty high compliments coming my way from you, X. So love to you for making me blush. Love to everybody in the chat right now who's coming up with 100 different names for our working bee days. It's so cool, and I'm super proud.
Can I just, Suzie, I just want to say something. Compliments, right? They're a form of nurturing, of loving. And so being able to accept someone nurturing you, because I'm sure that person wants you to have that feeling of acknowledgement. You're being acknowledged for what you're doing. So take it as nourishment. And I'm
someone
sure
just said in chat, if you compliment me, I'll think you're a fucking agent. That's what they've just said. And it's really horrible. It's really horrible. So you're like, what? Because a normal person's reaction would be like, what? My reaction is like, yeah, I think that too. Because I've gone through that, being groomed, people trying to handle you, people trying to manipulate you and push you in different directions, people lying to you, people social engineering you. And the basis for all of that is always compliments. It's always like, you're so special, you're so smart, you're so wonderful, you're so blah, 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 blah. They just smother you in compliments. And then they start trying to push you in different directions. They start trying to manipulate you. And so it's really horrible, but it's true. And it came to a point in my life, where I just almost tune it out. Like, people say to me, like, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so clever, you're so blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, it's like they're telling me what the weather is today. And I guess the exception to that is when I hear compliments from people who I know are legit and who I trust. Then it means a lot to me. Someone saying it's awful. It is awful. It's really awful. But that's my reality, is that I can't really ever let the compliments sink in for me. I can't. I take them with a grain of salt. I completely take them with a grain of salt, because until I trust the person, like X, I trust X because I know X is like means a fucking exile. Like, X is someone who can't live in his own country because of the activism that he's engaged in. So, to be honest, like, the compliments that come from X actually hold a lot of weight for me, because I know he's not going to be that person who's going to try and manipulate me or try and handle me. But and I don't mean to at all. I'm not trying to dissuade all the people who say nice things to me and everything. And Hope has said just say thank you, and that's something I've had to learn, like, to become an adult, to be an adult, is to just politely say thank you very much. That's very kind of you. And you'll quite often hear me say on the stream to people, that's very kind of you. And I mean it. Like, it is kind of them to say that to me, but I never really let it penetrate, because I'm always trying to. It's horrible, but you have to keep the wall up, because you don't know where people are coming from, really. And I'm the total opposite, because I tell people exactly what I think. I don't pretend. I don't manipulate. I don't pretend. And sometimes I think people think I come across quite harshly, because I'll just say exactly what I think. Like, here it is. And they'll be like, oh, that's a bit impolite, or that's a bit blunt, or whatever. But at least you know, like, that I mean. Goy's asking who's X. X is Commander X. Commander X Anon on Twitter. He's a long-time old friend of Julian. He's an exiled hacktivist. And he's currently broadcasting the audio streams of this event, and as he does for all our events around the world. And he was I interviewed him. It was actually a great interview, not for the compliments, but it was a great interview for him giving his testimony about his relationship with Julian. He's known Julian for decades, since way before Julian is the Julian that the world knows. X knew him. And it was a fantastic interview for that. But also in that interview, he was very complimentary about Unity for J, about the concept of Unity for J and the way that we've built this movement and put it together. And I do take those compliments very seriously, and they resonated with me, because I know it's coming from someone who really knows this shit and who has absolutely no stake in, just trying to butter me up for whatever reason. So I think X would have no problem telling me I'm being a fucking idiot and pull my head in if he needed to, So it means more to me for that reason.
Well, something I totally see. Of course, you're right. One has to be discriminating. And I think you've made a very good boundary by saying the people that you actually know and you trust, when they say something supportive or complimentary, that is nourishment. But the rest of it, you have to kind of look a bit more carefully at what's going on there. What is that person trying to do? Are they grooming you? Are they taking you in? I mean, of course, in many ways, I just gave away my own hopeless naivety sometimes in just believing people. But I think that's genius. You take nourishment from those that you know are real people with just straight up good intentions.
You start to measure people in terms of how much they've sacrificed when you're in this game. This really, like, how I start to measure people, because if you continue in activism, it does require sacrifice, and at every turn there is a choice to sacrifice more to achieve more, or to throw the towel in and to submit. And people like X are like at the top of the sacrifice to achieve chain. people like Julian are at the absolute top of the sacrifice to achieve change. Ed Snowden's at the top of it. People who, at every choice that they had to submit, have chosen sacrifice over submission. And so there's a very tight knit group of people who are bound to each other, not necessarily by personality or by interpersonal relationships, but bound together by the level of sacrifice that they have made to remain truly independent and to not submit to anyone. This is why it's hilarious to me, actually, when people say that I'm a Russian agent or I would work for the Russians or something. I wouldn't submit to my own country. I wouldn't submit to the country that I'm loyal to. You think I would submit to somebody else's country? You think if I won't submit when someone is trying to drive me off a fucking cliff in my own country that I will submit to threats from another country? These people who say such things have no understanding of my level of stubbornness or my mentality. I will defend always those who are being attacked, whether it is a country or whether it is an individual. The defense of other people is what drives and motivates me. I will never submit to a threat, no matter what it costs and no matter who it's from. So the idea that I would submit to another country's agency when I wouldn't submit to my own is quite laughable to me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel silly that like now we're getting so far away from the conversation, but maybe that gives some people some insight. I know I'm always balancing not actually wanting to talk about myself with the fact that I know people are naturally curious about me because they're seeing me. I would suggest to anybody who really is curious about me that you will find the most answers about me in my written long form work. And if you go back through the years, there is a ton of that. And I would urge you to do so if you really do care about that aspect. Okay, so we've agreed. We've agreed that the working bees, for want of a better term, are a great idea.
Yes.
I will have a think about when to schedule the first one. I think it's a good idea for us to run them in the off weeks when we're not doing the vigils and the Unity for J Day. So maybe we do them 3 weeks a month and then have a week off because we're doing online vigils and Unity for J Day. I will think about best days and best times. I would like to stagger the times. I don't want to make the times particularly friendly to any one time zone because I don't think that's democratic or fair. It may be that we do one in a US friendly time zone, one in a European friendly time zone, and one in a Pacific friendly time zone. I personally think that would be best. And I'm used to having to work across all 3 time zones, so it won't particularly inconvenience me. However, I would also like to get to the point where I don't necessarily even have to be there. I'd like to get it to become a well-oiled machine so that people can jump on and still work on their tasks together and still be productive and still be kind to and loving to everybody and respectful of everybody without me being there. And I think we can get to that in a pretty short order because we have like 12 great mods and like 20 something amazing, like including our channel. We'll easily have like 25 really good core people who are like 100% pure and legit through and through. So it would be really cool if amongst us we can just come and go as we need to and see that things are happening. And we'll always know what we're doing. We'll always be in the approval channels.
Sorry, I just want to add something because I think it'll become otherwise very unwieldy. I think every sub-meeting or meetings, wherever they are, somebody should be responsible for taking the minutes. In other words, as the meeting goes along, to write down what the subject is, and with the actual video underneath it, like you would put links and stuff like that in YouTube, there should be like a, kind of as the time is going by, like at 5 minutes, we started talking about, the color orange or whatever. Otherwise, you're going to have a very hard time like finding.
So we have an epic. There's two responses to that. One is we have an epic, and I mean epic, transcription team, a scribes team run by Fleur, who's a freaking amazing organizer. And they have already like transcribed like 100-something hours of video. Like they've gone back even retrospectively over the last 4 months and transcribed all the video. So they would be perfect to actually like literally create transcripts of our working bees that we could upload, and then they could like, you know, annotate the sections like this is this topic, this topic, this topic. However, I also think it wouldn't necessarily matter if we didn't have that recap stuff, because we have an approvals process for all of the work. So even if people spend like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on a stream collaborating together, and they're producing graphics and videos and press releases and whatever else, those are just going to get submitted into the approval. Like there's like a comms approvals channel and process for our press releases to say, yes, this is approved. It can now go up on the website and out through the media channels. Same with the graphics, videos, everything else we produce has an approvals process. So if we just worked on the creating the stuff in the span of the stream, then we could still go, and our people who do the approvals can still go and do the approvals at the end of it. And so there's no like negative impact if something does get derailed within the course of the working bee. There's still that final check phase to make sure that it doesn't like go out.
Well, I guess all of this depends on how long it is before poor Julian is released from his dire situation. But assuming that it's not going to be anytime soon, it's really just a question of, as people come on board, that they would be able to go back and not like take up people's time being re-educated on all these meetings, that they would then be able to go, let's say in 6 weeks' time, somebody decides to join a particular project. They can just be referred to the pertinent videos with the various minutes that detail the part that they'll be working on. It's just purely if it's worth it. It's only going to be because poor old Julian stays there much longer. But if he doesn't, then I suppose, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just a question of how long this is going to go on for. And I have to say, I'm not very optimistic about him coming out anytime soon. But, you know, let's see what the midterms turn up in America. Maybe if Trump makes it through and the House becomes more, I know no one's going to like this, but if the House becomes more Republican and there's less, you know, of a, you know, drama going on with the midterms, maybe Trump will release Julian. I'm hoping, because, I mean, Trump is just going to be completely taken up with the things that are coming up towards the midterms, because it's so important for him to win them. I think after, if he wins it and he doesn't get assassinated, I think he'll be much more able to help Julian. And I think he wants to help Julian. I know everybody is so negative about Trump, but I believe he's trying to do the right things. I really do. Anyway, I'm not going to make everyone vomit.
In some aspects maybe, and in some aspects I think it's fucking terrible. Yeah. Someone just said that Trump works for Israel. I absolutely think Trump doesn't give a flying shit if Israel just kills a few more million people in Gaza. And I'm not okay with that as a human rights activist. Not to mean, and that's certainly not his only policy that I take front to. However, I did a dance when he didn't sign the TPP. So,
right, me too.
It's a mixed bag of tricks. You know, it's really a mixed bag of tricks.
I just think we have to support
that the true power structure doesn't involve whoever stands for president. You know, whoever gets voted for once every 4 years. So that's another story.
But they can make a difference. Trump could pass executive orders. God knows Obama did.
Maybe, but I mean, you just said also that he, you know, could get assassinated, and I know you said that like offhand, like, you know, haha.
No,
but
no, I didn't. Really, I didn't say it offhand. I didn't. Possibility. I really, really do. I think that, you know, he's working against the existing shadow government. Otherwise, why would he be being ripped to shreds in the mainstream media? Look, this is where the bone of contention is too high. But all I'm trying to say is I support anything that Trump does that makes sense. I violently send off tweets and messages when I think he's doing something terrible. Surely we've all accepted the fact that the governments are out of control. So, I mean, obviously we're not getting, even if somebody was to replace Trump, it'll just be the same old, same old. The actual whole system has to be democratically dissolved, and a proper, transparent, system put back in its place with a much smaller government, because it's when government gets big that it becomes so dangerous. So anyway, on that
okay
note,
with government being big if it's like literally the entire population is an even playing field. Then I'm sweet with big government if it means that everybody gets a say in governance, and a say to me isn't one vote between two corrupt people every 4 years. But we are now way off topic. Let's wrap it up because sorry, it's like 7 a.m. and I'm like practically a year older now when we started this thing. Sorry. All right. I'll make another 3 wrinkles by the time we're finished. So I just want to say thank you, 100 people, for being on my YouTube channel, and thank you to all the people who are watching on Facebook and Periscope who I haven't even seen, to be able to like talk about how many of you there are, or how it doesn't really matter. I mean, the fact anyone gives a shit about this and is here willing to help is a beautiful and amazing thing. So thank you for being a part of it. Group hug for everybody. And thank you to there's amazing people live tweeting this and taking screen caps and all kinds of stuff. I appreciate all of you. You're making this happen. WikiBees. Someone just said WikiBees. I like that.
Oh, I like that too. WikiBees.
Patty McGuire. I like that. I like it. Okay. I'll have a think about when, so just keep an eye on at Unity4J. We'll like make some graphic and we'll work out like our days and our times, and I promise you I'll make it so that there's an American one, a Europe one, and a Pacific one, so that everybody gets like equal share. And let's do this. Let's do it. And if you want to know about the 200 other things that happened in the last month with the movement that I haven't been able to cover off tonight, check out #Unity4J and click on media. Go to @Unity4J and click on media. You'll see all the photos and videos and notices and press releases and everything. Or check out #all-platforms in the Discord chat, which is, of course, unity4j.com/Discord. And if you want to give money to WikiLeaks, they need it. They're fighting an epic legal battle of historic proportions. You can do that at iamwikileaks.org/donate. And support the Courage Foundation. They support at-risk whistleblowers all around the world. No one really does what the Courage Foundation does, and they deserve a lot of support. couragefound.org. Okay, on that note, I love you, and I'm going to leave you for a short time, and we will be back to do some more amazing things for Julian as soon as we can. Thank you all for being here.
Bye. Mwah. Bye, 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 bye.
Our number one enemy is ignorance. And I believe that is the number one enemy of everyone, is not understanding what is actually going on in the world. It's only when you start to understand that you can make effective decisions and effective plans. Now, the question is, who is promoting ignorance? Well, those organisations that try to keep things secret, and those organisations which distort true information to make it false or misrepresentative. In this latter category, it is bad media. It really is my opinion that the media in general are so bad, we have to question whether the world wouldn't be better off without them altogether. They're so distortive to how the world actually is, that the result is we see wars and we see corrupt governments continue on. One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough. If they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly, with open eyes, go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.
Julian Assange, thank you very much.